All right, today we're diving into a fighter jet that is pure French ambition on wings. An aircraft born from a decision to just go it alone and designed to do absolutely everything. We're talking about the Dassault Rafale.
And you know what? That's not even an exaggeration. It really is the perfect way to think about the Rafale. I mean, we're talking dogfights, recon, ground strikes. Oh, and yeah, it can deliver a nuclear payload. This thing was designed from the ground up to be the one and only jet France's Air Force and Navy would ever need.
So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at that jet of all trades promise. Then, we'll get into the drama of why France went its own way. We'll geek out a bit on the Delta Wing secret that makes it so nimble. Then comes the roller coaster ride, from bridesmaid, never the bride, to a total sales hero. And finally, we'll ask the big question. What's the future look like?
Okay, so this whole thing starts with one big idea: omni-role. See, back in the late 70s, France was looking at a whole bunch of different aging aircraft in its fleet. You had planes for the Air Force, different ones for the Navy, and the thought was, wait a second, what if we could build one jet that does everything? A single, super versatile plane to replace them all. A true jet of all trades. But here's where the story gets really interesting. The Rafale, as we know it, almost didn't happen. France was actually supposed to be part of this massive European project to build one fighter for everyone. But, well, let's just say they had some creative differences.
So if you look at the timeline, France starts out in this pan-European group, the same one that eventually created the Eurofighter Typhoon. But by 85, they're out. So what happened? Well, the rest of the group wanted this big, heavy air-to-air brawler. But France, they needed something lighter, more versatile. And this is the big one. It had to be able to land on an aircraft carrier. So with a classic merci but no merci, they went home to build their own plane. And get this, just 1 year later, the first Rafale prototype was screaming through the skies. Talk about moving fast.
And going it alone meant Dassault could really double down on a design they believed in, a unique combo of Delta Wings and canards. And that right there, that's the secret sauce behind the Rafale's legendary agility. Okay, get ready for this because it's a little counterintuitive. The Rafale is intentionally designed to be unstable. I know, that sounds terrifying, right? Like something you absolutely do not want in a plane. But think of it like a high-performance race car that's tuned to oversteer just a little. That little bit of instability, when you have powerful computers constantly making tiny corrections, gives you incredible razor-sharp responsiveness. So a normal, stable aircraft, it wants to fly straight and level. It's predictable, safe, but it's not exactly nimble. The Rafale, on the other hand, wants to tumble out of the sky at any given moment. It relies on a fly-by-wire system to keep it in check, but that same tendency is exactly what lets it pull off breathtaking maneuvers that a stable jet could only dream of. And this design pays off in so many ways. Those huge Delta Wings, they give it incredible lift and let it carry a ton of fuel internally. We're talking a combat range of over 1,000 kilometers. Then you've got those little canards at front. They create these little vortexes, like tiny tornadoes of air that flow over the main wing. That gives the pilot amazing control, especially when flying slow. And it doesn't stop there. Even things like the S-shaped air intakes are designed to help reduce its radar signature. It's all connected. So you've got this technological masterpiece, right? It's agile, it's long range, it's versatile. And for more than a decade, nobody wanted it. Seriously. Here's the twist in the story. The Rafale was a commercial flop. An incredibly frustrating time for Dassault and for France. I mean, look at this list. South Korea went with the F-15. So did Singapore. Morocco picked the F-16. And the one that really stung was Brazil. After years and years of talks, they went with the Swedish Gripen in 2013. It just kept happening. The Rafale was always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And then it all changed, almost overnight. The plane that couldn't buy a win for love or money suddenly became one of the most sought-after fighter jets on the planet. So what flipped the switch? What was the big secret? It was actually pretty simple and really smart. France started selling the Rafales with no strings attached. See, when you buy American jets, there are often a lot of rules about how and where you can use them. France came in and said, look, you buy our plane, you get the whole package. The best weapons, fast delivery, great financing, and we won't tell you what to do with it. No political baggage. And that sales pitch worked. The first domino fell in 2015. Egypt, dealing with a lot of instability in the region, signed on the dotted line for 24 jets. Just like that, the Rafale had its first export customer. The floodgates were about to open. And then, just a year later, came the big one, India. They signed a deal for 36 jets worth around $8.7 billion. This was a massive vote of confidence from a major world power, choosing the French jet over top-tier American and Russian competitors. After that, the ball was really rolling, and it all culminated in 2021 with an absolutely massive, record-shattering contract from the UAE. They didn't just buy a few, they ordered 80 of the latest and greatest F4 variant. And the value of that one deal? A mind-blowing $19 billion. The underdog story was complete. In about a decade, the Rafale went from zero export sales to having a backlog of orders that would take years to fill. So, the sales numbers were incredible, but there was still one big question left to answer. How does it actually perform when the shooting starts? Well, its first real trial by fire came during clashes between India and Pakistan. Now, during a retaliatory strike, at least one Indian Rafale was shot down. But context is everything here. We're talking about a super high-risk mission, flying deep into heavily defended airspace. And according to officials, while losing a plane is never good, the Rafale did exactly what it was sent to do. It successfully launched its deep strike missiles and hit its targets before it went down. The mission was a success. And that real-world combat test certainly didn't hurt sales. Today, Dassault is slammed. They're working flat out to fill a huge backlog of orders from Greece, Croatia, Indonesia, you name it. And they're not standing still either. They're already hard at work on the next-gen F5 variant to keep the Rafale at the absolute top of its game. So that brings us back to the big question. The Rafale story is just incredible, right? It's a story of fierce independence, of taking huge technological risks and pulling off one of the biggest comebacks in aviation history. It proved one country could still go it alone and build a truly world-class fighter. But now, in an era of fifth-gen stealth jets, can this omni-role champion continue to shine? Well, that's the big question, isn't it?